Hello, today I'm gonna do a response to Calico Silver's um, other video called the top 10 questions for Rolling Stones fans. Alright, like I did with the last video with the top 15 Beatles questions for Beatles fans. Um, when I was about 11 or 12, I was a fan of the Beatles, and the Rolling Stones will always be number two, as far as, the great band. I love the Rolling Stones also. They're also great. And so I'm going to start, all right? And I hope you enjoy, the video. I try to make good content, I try my best, okay? And hope you like it, okay? All right, let's start. All right, number one. All right, as far as favorite era of the Stones, Brian Jones, Mick Taylor, or Ronnie Wood. I think you'll know this one. I think everyone, or at least a few should agree. I would choose the Mick Taylor years. He came in back end of 1969 during Let It Bleed, all the way up until, from Sticky Fingers, Exile, Goat's Head Soup, and It's Only Rock and Roll. And after It's Only Rock and Roll, December of 1974, Mick Taylor left the band. I enjoy his guitar playing. He's a brilliant guitar player. A very great interrosso guitar player. Always loved his solos, especially live on Love in Vain and All Down the Line and Dead Flowers from those Stones songs, And I felt that at the time when he did join in '69, the Stones were at the peak ever since when Mick Taylor joined. And I'm pretty sure that's what everybody feels is the best era of the Stones. And Brian Jones, I liked him because of his genius as far as the texture and the sound of the band at the time. He being able to play all types of instruments, different kind of instruments to add to the sound of the band. And, and it was a shame for all the little after things that happened with the drugs and everything. He always seemed to, not to think anything much about his, you know, accomplishments and, influence with the Stones. He always used to waste his career with that. But I felt he was great, and I felt he was good, and he was the original Stone that formed the Rolling Stones. Without Jones, no Rolling Stones. And for Ronnie Wood, I liked him because he was a nice guy. He's funny, outgoing, and he gets along with Keith Richards very well. He's a good, solid guitarist, and I can see why at least the Stones would feel about how he was a good replacement, after Mick Taylor left. And Ronnie jogs around good with Keith Richards, and he's very good. All right. And so, as far as the best era, as far as trying to answer that question, I would say definitely Mick Taylor. Number two, UK albums or the US albums. I do have a lot of affectionate with the UK albums, but much like the like the Beatles one, I do have a lot of affection with the US albums also. And so because the Beatles intended the UK albums, so I associate with the UK albums with that. And but with the Stones, I would say the US albums because they have all the hit singles on there. especially on Out of Our Heads with I Can't Get No Satisfaction, the last time especially. And with Between the Buttons, the US version with Let's Spend the Night Together and Ruby Tuesday. I like the US albums because it has the hit songs on it. But, I would go for that. The US albums for number 2. Number 3, these are part of the big four as far as, well, what people would say are the best albums by a solo artist or a band, what they considered to be the best by the group. And as far as number 3 is, all right, between these two, 1968 Beggar's Banquet or 1969 Let It Bleed. Even though I do enjoy both of these, I enjoy both of these albums, by the way. I enjoy them. Let's see if we can fit. I enjoy them both, but has some good stuff here. On Beggar's Banquet with Sympathy for the Devil, Street Fighting Man, Stray Cat Blues, Factory Girl, Salt of the Earth. Street Fighting Man, No Expectations, but I would say I would go for Let It Bleed. It has, Gimme Shelter. That's a good opener. I feel Gimme Shelter is a perfect opener, much like eventually with Sticky Fingers, Brown Sugar, and Exile, rocks off, So I would go for, in my opinion, Let It Bleed. Even though I enjoy them both. I love them both albums, but I would go for Let It Bleed. And tying into the second part of it would be Sticky Fingers, 1971, or Exile on Main Street, 1972. Right? Sticky Fingers and Exile on Main Street. What can you say? They're both classics. Exile on double album, it's fantastic. Sticky Fingers, great. But, as Brown Sugar, Wild Horses, Dead Flowers, Moonlight Mile, Can't You Hear Me Knockin', Sway, Sister Morphine. I like it, Sticky Fingers, because it's concise. And it's, one album. So, I'll go for Sticky Fingers. Alright. Alright, number 4. Who did you like better in the 1960s? The Beatles or the Rolling Stones? Well, since I got into, the Beatles first, and, they had great albums, the Beatles, so I would say the Beatles. For number 4, definitely the Beatles. And then for number 2, I got into the Stones after the Beatles, so, I got into the Beatles first, so I'll go for the Beatles first. All right. All right, and after the Beatles breakup in 1970, what did you like better, the solo Beatles or the Stones during the 70s? I know the solo Beatles. Paul had McCartney, Ram, Red Rose Speedway, Band on the Run, Venus and Mars, Wings at the Speed of Sound, London Town, Back to the Egg. George had these two experimental albums, Wonderwall Music and Electronic Sound. Excuse me. Um, um, and then George would have the classic LP. The chin is a little dry. George would have All Things Must Pass, Living in the Material World, and then 74 with Dark Horse, which eh. Also, and Extra Texture in 1975. But he made a comeback for 33 and a third in 76, which was good, really good, really, really good. And then Gone Troppo, George Harrison self-titled in 79, and Cloud 9 in 1987, which was superb. And John, Plastic Ono Band, Mind Games, Walls and Bridges, he would have, Double Fantasy, Life in the Lions, and Ringo with his Ringo album self-titled, and Sentimental Journey, Baku's, The Blues, they had some good stuff. They had good albums. They did. But the Rolling Stones, they had Sticky Fingers, Exile, Goat's Head Soup, It's Only Rock and Roll, Black and Blue, and Some Girls in the 70s. So, it's hard to really answer that because, it's hard to compare the two, since, there was some good stuff to round it up, to balance the two, right? I would say, the solo Beatles and the Stones between, 70, between 71, and the Stones from 71 to 1973, as well as the solo Beatles at the time as also, but definitely the Rolling Stones, and between the Some Girls album in 78, definitely the Stones peaked at the later end of the 70s, definitely. All right, number 5. Did the Stones do their cover songs proud? Meaning, did the cover songs justice? Yeah, definitely. With they did some Motown covers by Chuck Berry. They did blues, Howlin' Wolf, Muddy Waters. They also did some Buddy Holly numbers. Also, I think they did a superb job. Opening up England and the States to blues. I think they did a superb job on the covers, much like the Beatles also. The Stones did the covers justice. They did superb. Alright, at number 6, favorite Stones album post 1981. Pretty much, which I would agree also, most people would stop at Tattoo You 1981 and they'll be done with that. After that, nothing. But I would say, for post-album 2005's A Bigger Bang. I know it's older Stones, they were in their 60s, but they had some good there's some good songs on there, and and also in 2020's single Living in a Ghost Town, that was also good as well. And so, that's what I would say. Number 7, favorite Keith Richards song. Yeah, he's definitely my favorite Stone, Keith Richards. He had a lot of good songs, but the two that come to mind is from Goat's Head Soup, Coming Down Again, and the Some Girls album, Before They Make Me Run, are my two favorite Keith Richards songs at the moment, but Keith has a lot of really good songs. He does. Number 8, a Stones album that you didn't like at first but love it now. I mean, I don't know if this is controversial or not, but I would say probably not. I would say 1986's Dirty Work. And I wouldn't say I love it. I don't. I don't love it. But, I guess, it was 80s Stones, and, there was a lot of tension going on also at the time also, but, I feel that's not a good choice, I don't think at all, but, you know what, it's hard, it's really hard. But, I don't go for, let's scratch off the other one I picked, I'll go for Between the Buttons from 1967, because the Stones didn't really feel like the Stones because they were doing a pops tunes like the Beatles did, so they people thought they were losing their direction at first, but I feel there was they trying to do different genres, so I wasn't fond of it at first, but I enjoy it now. Between the Buttons. And for Dirty Work, I don't really love it at all. I don't. I kind of like it, Dirty Work from '86, but I don't love it. So the Stones album I didn't like it first, but is Between the Buttons, but I love it Between the Buttons now. I love it now. All right, number 9, favorite live album. Yeah, that's easy, right? It's easy. 1969 tour. The album came out in 1970, and that is Rolling Stones' Get Your Yeah-Yeahs Out. Just a superb live album. Superb, it sounds great, wonderfully recorded, and this time Mick Taylor was with them at that time. And it's great live album, simply well recorded. And, it's simply, great. It's superb. They're definitely their best live album by far. I mean, I'm sure everyone will agree on that. It's definitely Get Your Yeah-Yeahs Out for favorite live album, definitely. And finally, at number 10, if you could have one Stones album and you were sent off to a desert island, what Stones album will you bring with you? Well, because it's a double album, definitely it won't be hard to choose at all. Exile on Main Street. Like I said at the beginning, this is a great, superb album. I love it. I am a fan of double albums, so it's superb, great album. And thanks so much for watching, and I would appreciate any questions or comments that you might have in the comment section below, and please like and subscribe, please. Could really much appreciate it. And just thought I might do a take on that. And thanks to Calico Silver for making the question video. Very much appreciated. Thanks for doing it. And I'll see you in the next one.